Hello, Dr. Ned.
Hi.
I know that recently one of your former employees passed away due to COVID 19, and I know due to this tragic loss, you've been, prompted to share a little bit more information about COVID 19 and the effects of this tragic pandemic that we're experiencing right now.
Yes, of course. We lost Transon McBride, one of our former employee, from COVID-19. Tragically, he was not vaccinated. I have a number of friends, family members, associates that have doubts about this whole issue of vaccination. And I know there has been a lot of social media, traditional media comments on this subject, but I thought it'd be important to weigh in on this subject, not to be critical of the people who have concerns about vaccinations, but to just educate.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it'd be a great idea for us to sort of compare and contrast
Mm-hmm.
the whole issue of vaccine versus no vaccine.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a few questions.
Okay.
So, how is COVID 19 infection different from the vaccine?
That's a really good question. The body reacts the same way to the COVID-19 as it does to the vaccine in producing the soldiers that fight the enemy, what we call antibodies. So whenever any of us are affected by a virus, we produce antibodies. That's what the immune system does. And that's how we overcome the effects of any virus, including COVID-19. So we produce antibodies. So one of the things I'll say is that the body does the same thing that it does for the vaccine as it does to COVID-19. And it's a one track. It knows produce an antibody. And the goal of vaccination is to cause the body to go into a state of producing enough antibodies so that if the infection is reintroduced again, the body has the memory and the capacity to be able to produce those antibodies at a rate that allows us to either totally eliminate the virus or prevent the virus from replicating or multiplying and spreading.
So, why is it that people die from COVID 19?
So the reason why people die from COVID-19 is because the virus replicates or multiplies to a state where it overwhelms the body.
Mm-hmm.
And when that occurs, death occurs. Now, in the case of COVID-19, what actually happened, the virus itself doesn't kill you. What actually kills you is your reaction to the virus. What happens in COVID-19, once the virus replicates, and there's a term we use called viral load. Once the viral load gets to a critical mass, the body becomes overwhelmed, inflammation occurs, and when there's inflammation, something else happens, is that blood clot starts occurring. The body actually utilizes all of the clotting factors that you produce in your liver and causes clots everywhere in your body. You get clots in your heart, so you get a heart attack. You get clots in your brain, you get a stroke. You get clots in your intestine. And most important, in this disorder, you get lots of clots, what they call thrombus, in your lungs. And that's why the disease advances so fast with respiratory and breathing problems. Once you get to the stage where the clots are formed and your organs start failing, the prognosis becomes poor. And ultimately, people die from organ failure or they die from the utilizing all of the clots and when clotting factors. And when they have no more clotting factors, guess what happens? They start bleeding. And by the time you get to that bleeding stage, you're really at the point of no return. Most people die when they get to that stage.
So, what are the chances of someone dying from COVID 19 versus the negative effects of a vaccination?
So, when you think about the death rate from COVID-19 versus the death rate from the vaccine, For persons over 50, it's about 2.17 to persons, when you go to persons 90 years of age, where it's 16%. So for every 100 person that's age 50, 2.17% of them will die from COVID if they get infected. And for somebody that's between 80 and 90, 16 of those would die if they get affected by COVID. As compared to the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, based on looking at worldwide data, it's about 2.5 per million. So that's about 0.0017% of persons that would die from the vaccine compared to persons that would die from COVID-19. So there you have it.
Thank you so much for providing this information.
Exactly. So we encourage everyone, in honor of our friend, dear friend, Transin, to go out and get the vaccine. It'll save your life.